going to string together a whole bunch of events from President Nelson's life and the funeral that just took place today on October 7th that might seem unrelated at first, but when you consider his prophetic mantle and calling and mission and the things he's been teaching for decades in the apostleship and for the 7.5 years since he became the prophet and president of the church, it's going to make a whole lot of sense. So today, October 7th, was the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. And tabernacle refers to a dwelling place, and it also refers to our physical bodies. Joseph Smith taught that the great principle of happiness consists in having a body. Now you combine that with President Nelson's teaching that the choices we make will determine three things: the kind of body with which we'll be resurrected, where we will live throughout eternity, and the kind of society we'll live in for eternity. And so two out of those three things actually directly refer to tabernacles, and tabernacles were also gathering places, they were dwelling places, so they also implicitly conveyed society. So tabernacle and the Feast of Tabernacles correspondingly therefore corresponds essentially to the state that we have in eternity, so our eternal condition, right? The degrees of glory after final judgment. That's what the Feast of Tabernacles represents. It represents that celebration of the resurrection and the degrees of glory. So you take all that into account, and also President Nelson has been very big about teaching us the importance of gathering Israel, saying it's the most important work taking place on earth. Okay, so this is an ancient Israelite feast. The Lord commanded us in the last days to keep it as well. You can find that in Zechariah chapter 14 and in Leviticus chapter 23. And so these ancient messianic feasts of Israel, I've had many people ask me, "Oh, are you Jewish? Do you have Jewish connections?" I'm like, "No, I'm of Israel. Like, these are Israelite feasts. Go read them. They're right in the scriptures. They're in our scriptures, Christian scriptures, Latter-day Saint scriptures. They're all just right there, and these are part of our feast. So this is part of the gathering of Israel and the ongoing restoration. These feasts of Christ are part of the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, another topic that he's been very big on is peacemaking, and that's also connected with gathering Israel, and it's also connected with October 7th. So the peacemaking theme, you look at section 98 of the Doctrine and Covenants that we just barely read, where the Lord says, renounce war and proclaim peace. In the exact same breath, like immediately in the same verse, he says, and strive diligently to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. And then he also says in the very next verse, he says, and the hearts of the prophets to the Jews, and the hearts of the Jews to the prophets, and the prophets to the Jews. Isn't that interesting that we're supposed to specifically reach out to the Jews as part of our, ultimate peacemaking quest? And I can't think of a better way to do that than to pick out and highlight and preserve, emphasize, live, and share these messianic feasts that we received from the Jews. They're part of the ancient traditions of Judaism. They're part of the ancient religion of Jesus Christ. And they're also the reason that the Lord gave Moses to tell Pharaoh to let his people go, that they may make a feast unto me in the wilderness. So please piece all these things together. Please pardon my slowness of speech, but all these things pieced together very beautifully, and they were all part of President Nelson's life and ministry, his teachings. And we absolutely do need to look back to our ancient fathers who kept these holidays and keep them ourselves. The Lord has commanded us to do so, and this is actually a huge part of how we can bring about world peace, is just live those prophetic admonitions and celebrate the Messiah and look forward to the resurrection by being peacemakers and detoxing from all the cruel and telestial and all the lesser habits among us. Thank you for listening.